Double champ. Champ. 2 divisional champ. Guy who jams divisions. There's a lot of names for it. But soon, Alexander Volkanovski is going to be going for Islam Makhachev's lightweight title. And if he wins, he will get his choice of one of those illustrious titles. So, I'm Joe with the INC, and today we are going to be taking a look at Pride 33, where Dan hit... What's up? What? 205. Never mind. Instead, we're going to be looking at UFC 205, the night Conor McGregor jumped line and became a 2-divisional champ. UFC 205 took place November 11th in 2016 in the legendary Madison Square Garden arena. It nearly brought in $18 million in the live gate with just under 21,000 attending. It did sell 1.3 million pay-per-views, which, you know, makes sense because you look at the fight card itself. And the Golden Boys themselves, Joe Rogan and Mike Goldberg, were commentating this massive card. And if you want to look at how stacked this card is, let's just look at the prelims. You got Frankie Edgar taking on Jeremy Stephens in the main event of the prelims. On top of that, you had Khabib Nurmagomedov put on just unbelievable performance against Michael Johnson, where he talked about how awkward the UFC matchmaking was at the time. Respected vets Thiago Alvarez and Jim Miller went at it. And in a fight that's actually much more interesting now that, like, time's passed, the first fight between Vicente Luque and Belal Muhammad happened. Here we are, we're opening up the main card, and we have Raquel "Rocky" Pennington versus Miesha Tate. Miesha Tate's coming off a loss where she lost her 135-pound belt, and this was a chance for her to take down a surging contender. And Rocky was that surging contender. First round of the way, and we see Miesha Tate looking for some jabs to the midsection early. Despite this interesting wrinkle, the striking is just all Pennington. Very nice combination of a lead inside low kick into a left hook, then a right hand that lands clean. Miesha does get a clinch. She presses Rocky to the cage, but while changing levels for a single leg, she nearly gets caught in this modified ninja choke. Rocky actually just lifts Miesha straight up into the air. Miesha does escape it, and she just tries to kind of keep on her, though. And as they get up to the clinch, she's trying to now backpack her. Not a ton really done here, but Rocky does land some nasty downward elbows to the thigh. Second round, and man, that jab of Rocky is just on point. She is just lighting my girl Miesha up. Another takedown attempt for Miesha, and it's just stuff, but she presses Rocky to the cage. Rocky reverses the clinch, though, and she just starts landing some nasty shots in dirty boxing. Final seconds of the round, and they break from the clinch with Rocky putting on another fantastic punching combination. Third round, and Tate immediately closes the distance to clinch up, where she tries to jump guard. From top position, you know, Rocky's really defending well from the, submission game from Miesha Tate. Rocky's just dominating the grappling even, shrugging off submission attempts, landing some shots when he can, even attempting another choke. No finish, but just a dominant round that just easily secures her the fight. I wasn't actually looking forward to this fight, but it was actually better than I remembered. I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10 because I did enjoy it. Miesha Tate, she retired briefly after this fight, but she did return nearly 5 years later for 3 fights. She retired relatively young, like she was in her 20s, I believe, so it makes sense that she would want to return personally. Next up on the card, we have a middleweight clash between Yoel Romero and Chris Weidman. So first round, we see Weidman implement this game plan of launching kicks to the open side of Romero. Weidman's mixing it up with takedowns, and outside of really briefly getting him down, Yoel was actually really scrambling back to the feet, so the wrestling's kind of neutralized already. Second round, and Weidman just holds just an edge, it seems like, in the striking matchup. Romero hits one of the sickest looking trips I have ever seen. And from there, he controls Weidman, bringing him down again, getting some side control, even landing some good ground and pound, it seems like. Round 3, another kick lands for Weidman. He's still kind of looking, feinting low, trying to get back to those wrestling threat, and he drops levels. Romero, out of nowhere, lands a flying knee to intercept him. Yoel Romero wins by a 3rd round KO. And I got to give this fight an 8 out of 10. It's a really good technical fight on the feet. I had a lot of fun with the matchup itself. And this adjustment from Romero is super sweet. It sucks to see my guy Weidman lose, but, it happens. After the fight, Romero actually calls out Bisping for a title shot, to which Bisping just flips him off, then makes a steroid joke. It's an awesome moment where Romero's like, "I love you, Mike, I love you," just being such an iconic line. Like, I feel like you can't hear that line without hearing it in Yoel Romero's, like, Cuban accent. So now we're on our first of 3 title fights. We have Joanna Jedrzejczyk versus Karolina Kowalkiewicz in a Polish strawweight clash. So Joanna was on a 6-fight winning streak in the division with some incredible performances, like against Jessica Penne. Carla Esparza was huge, and she was just beating everybody, it felt like, in the division at the time. and was becoming a big star in this new weight class. KOvalevich, on the other hand, she was unbeaten as well. 3-0 in the UFC, and her last win caught a lot of attention where she beat future world champion Rose Namajunas. First round, we see this world-class kickboxing of the champ as Joanna is just kind of lighting up her opponent with punch combinations, ending in a low kick. And there was some clinching, but for the most part, this is Joanna round with just this striking masterclass she's putting on. Second round, more of the same. Joanna is just having Carolina chase her across the cage and counters her when she overextends, and if she stands still, she's going to land kicks and throw combinations. Carolina's willingness to kind of just step in and throw punches while tucking her chin and leaving it down is just not getting anything done here. Third round, a lot of the same, but Carolina is having some success near the end of the round, clinching and kind of grinding on the cage, but again, more of the same. The kicks at the end of the combination and just the superb footwork from Joanna is just, it's a masterpiece to watch. Fourth round, and after about a minute of the same old, Carolina lands a big right hand that hurts the champ. Joanna is getting swarmed on. She manages to survive and circle out. She starts taking momentum back, but Carolina has this surge of confidence, and she's landing the right hand more and more and more. Final round, Carolina's not giving up, and Joanna's looking to make a statement. This leads to both ladies just kind of tossing shots back and forth. It's still very technical, but both women are just pulling the trigger on everything. But the difference really in the striking is just so massive as Joanna is able to almost still just take that big advantage she's had from the previous rounds. They go to decision, and Joanna remains the champion. It's a good fight, actually. It's a pretty good fight. I'm going to do a 7.5 out of 10. It's another fight I didn't really want to rewatch because I remember it being just long, but the pace of it was actually pretty good. A lot of the same old, which got boring to me, but, it's still a good fight. Now, it's time for the co-main event of the evening, the fight I was most excited to look at on this. It's a welterweight title match between Tyron Woodley and Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. Now, if you are familiar with this series, you know I love Wonderboy, and this is one of the peaks of his career. At the time, he only had one loss to Matt Brown in a crazy fight, and he was just putting on highlight reels every other fight, it felt like. On top of that, he was beating top talent too. Rory McDonald and Johnny Pig Rig Hendricks was his last two victims. Woodley, on the other hand, is not really a well-loved fighter by the fans. Before he was embarrassing us against douche-tubers, he was actually known for being a very passive and calculated fighter. But that said, at this time, he was still willing to pull that trigger. His wins over Jong Hun Kim and my guy Robbie Lawler are just insane KOs that we should show more often. This was his first title defense, and he was looking to solidify his status as the #1 guy in the division. Round 1 opens. Not a ton of action at first, but then Woodley catches a kick, takes Wonderboy down, and from here, in basically the last 2 minutes, he just smashes him. Elbows, punches to the head and to the body. Gnarly dominant performance from Woodley, but Wonderboy does survive. Second round, Woodley is starting to be pressured. His back's to the cage for the most of the round. Every time he tries to press the pace, he's almost like just lunging in with shots, and Wonderboy slips out and lands some counters. But, that said, that right hand is getting a little close. Third round, Wonderboy's actually landing cleaner. It lands a big 1-2 that is just super clean. If I didn't already know who won the fight, I'd be like, oh, he's going to hurt him here. Woodley is still struggling in the striking, but he does land a low kick that actually stumbles Wonderboy pretty hard for a moment. Fourth round, Wonderboy is looking at his usual distance work, trying to get something going. Suddenly, a right hand just floors him. Woodley swarms on him, lands another right that looks like it could be the end. He actually dives on the legs in desperation, but Woodley stuffs it pretty easily and goes for a guillotine choke. Wonderboy somehow pulls out this miraculous great escape from it. He ends the round on top, but I don't care. That's a clear 10-8 Woodley round for me. Despite all this punishment, Wonderboy puts it on a show. All round, he seems to be on the pressure, landing punch after punch after punch to the head and to the body. Near the end of the round, Wonderboy actually staggers Woodley with a big right hand, and that's a Wonderboy round after taking all that punishment. It's insane. After we go to the scorecards, it's ruled a draw, and I agree with this. I feel like Wonderboy won 2, 3, and 5, and Woodley got 1 and 4, but 4 is a 10-8 for sure. But for this fight, I'm actually going to give it a 9 out of 10. I really like it. I like this showing of toughness and grit, along with the technical matchup. They really only went at it for like 2 rounds, really. Tyron Woodley only really went after it, felt like, for 2 rounds. But it's seeing him do some offense. It doesn't happen very often. It's always kind of exciting seeing it for these prolonged moments of time. They would rematch months later. But I'm going to be honest, that fight is is just awful. I'm trying not to cuss, it's so bad. It's terrible. Please don't make me watch it. So now it's time for our main event of the evening with Eddie Alvarez defending his lightweight title against Conor McGregor. So Eddie Alvarez may go down as the best lightweight in Bellator's history. So when he came to the UFC, tons of eyes on him. He lost his debut to Cowboy Cerrone, but he came back with 2 split decision wins. This got him a title shot against RDA, who he KO'd in 1 round. Conor, on the other hand, had a different kind of route to the title. He won the UFC featherweight title, did not defend it, despite contenders being ready. So instead, he opted to go to lightweight and fight RDA for the title. RDA did get hurt, had a broken foot, so Nate Diaz comes in for a short notice fight and submits him. He gets a rematch immediately, and he wins a close decision in 5 rounds. Now he's here fighting for the title after not fighting a guy in the top 5. Okay, and he's looking for a second belt. Those are the facts, right? So first round, Alvarez is landing this nice inside low kick with his rear leg as we have another open guard matchup. Conor is just waiting patiently. He's kind of prodding him with that this rear leg snap kick that I actually really like. As Eddie's looking to step in with a big right, boom, drops Eddie. He pops back up, but he just gets him again, blasts him. After escaping all this, he gets knocked down again. 3 knockdowns in round 1 for Conor. Second round, almost immediately, you see Conor hand fighting again to take away the lead hand. Another big shot, and we see Eddie just kind of dive on the legs from far out in desperation. Conor, at one point, is just taunting him, puts both hands behind his back and beckons him to do something. And Eddie does go in for another lead right hand, eats a massive 3-punch combination, and it's over. Conor McGregor wins 2 belts by TKOing Eddie Alvarez. And then basically he hits us with MMA's version of the Double J Jeff Jarrett fake apology.
I'd like to take this chance to apologize to absolutely nobody. The double champ does what the fuck he wants.
I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. It's a really one-sided fight, something that I've said many times I don't really care for. But it's a very good technical showing. And the problem was with, like, I think the matchup itself. One fighter's just going to dominate the other. And so one guy has to deal with his worst stylistic matchup. But again, 6 out of 10. After the fight, Conor went back to doing what he does best. Not defending his belts against contenders. He started this off by boxing Floyd Mayweather, where he was basically outclassed from bell to bell. But Eddie went right back at it. He put on some awesome fights with Dustin Poirier twice. Justin Gaethje fight is incredible. He did go to ONE FC, and he's had some rough luck over there, but he seems to kind of randomly just tease a UFC comeback here and there, so maybe we'll see him back in again. But for the whole card, how do I feel? This card's actually pretty good. I'm going to give this a solid 8 out of 10 for the whole card. Great knockouts, a really good undercard. The main card was fun as well, too. I love this co-main event, honestly. I really like that co-main event. But the whole card stands up pretty well, I think. I mean, it's a more recent card, so you kind of expect it to, but still, it was good. But that's it for me. If you're new to the series, be sure to check out the playlist we have as for all the retro reviews. I love making these. I especially love just kind of hanging out in the comments, trying to interact when I can with as many of y'all. If you really want to see this mug on your screen more, then I'm actually primarily on the second channel, where I post recaps of every UFC card after it happens, as well as on the preview show, where me and Carl will preview every pay-per-view. And if there's a card you really want me to review, go down to our Patreon, where you can donate to get a card you specifically want me to review. I'm Joe with the INC. Thank you for watching.